Welcome to Liberal BFer, where we put the left on check. Today's reality check. Woke Ivy League Yale College student gets outraged with Senator Ted Cruz and his colleagues for not being respectful and dignified to Justice Jackson. She goes as far as to call Ted Cruz a racist.
I wanted to take a moment to celebrate our newest addition to the Supreme Court of the U.S., who I know we've already talked about, Justice Jackson. Since you're here tonight, though, in the name of fostering intellectual diversity in academic spaces, it would appear to me that you already recognize the importance of new perspectives. And as a young woman, seeing Justice Jackson on the Supreme Court is invigorating, truly. And on Tuesday, it baffled me that you would ask such flagrantly racist questions to this exceedingly well-qualified candidate. Your colleagues in the GOP promised a respectful and dignified hearing for Justice Jackson, and to me, you did not uphold this. So today I wanted to create a space where you might be able to challenge your own thinking, as prudent scholars often do. So I'm here to ask you, what are two nice comments you can give about recent nominee Justice Jackson's judicial experience, besides from she has an easy smile?
Yeah, you racist. What's the comment?
My man Michael Knowles. Yeah, you racist? She's lucky Michael Knowles didn't get up and rebuttal her. You know, he was just sitting there itching to get up and say something. Miss Woke Ivy Leaguer stated, "It's invigorating as a woman to have Justice Jackson on the Supreme Court." Really? What's so invigorating about another woman on the Supreme Court? It's not like she's the first female Supreme Court justice. Oh yeah, she's a diversity hire. Why was it not invigorating as a woman to have Amy Coney Barrett on the Supreme Court? Was it because she wasn't a diversity hire? Or was it because she doesn't hold the same woke ideology as you on the left?
Well, let me start by thanking you for being here, and thank you for asking a substantive, important question. Thank you for engaging in a conversation. I think we all would be better off if we engage in substantive conversations. There's a lot to praise about Judge Jackson. She is very, very bright. She is very, very accomplished. She is very talented. She has an impressive and inspiring personal story. I will say, sitting listening to her opening remarks, where she described her personal story, she described her parents' journey, you had to be dead not to be inspired by that journey. And listen, I will say more broadly, if you look at the history of our country, if you look at the history of our country on race, it is absolutely inspiring to see an African-American woman serving on the Supreme Court. I will also point out that when it comes to issues of race, I think both the press and the modern left are hypocritical on this question. That they only define someone as black, or they only define someone as Hispanic, if they agree with them ideologically. So, Clarence Thomas has been on the court for decades. Clarence Thomas is a black man. The left hates him. They despise Clarence Thomas. And I'll tell you, by the way, the treatment of Clarence Thomas on the left is markedly different than, say, Antonin Scalia. Antonin Scalia was brilliant. He and Justice Thomas were every bit as conservative. And yet, the vitriol that was heaped on Clarence Thomas, nasty, racist language from the left. There was one magazine cover that showed Clarence Thomas as an Uncle Tom sitting at Scalia's feet. I think was racist and disgusting. And listen, I will say this as an Hispanic man. As an Hispanic man, Jorge Ramos went on television in Spanish and described me as a traitor to my race for daring. Okay, look, that says something about the view of the left, that they're telling you you have one way to view things and one way only. And if you don't, we'll demonize and attack you. So look, and by the way, in terms of having the first African-American woman on the Supreme Court, there was an opportunity for this to happen 20 years ago. There's a judge named Janice Rogers Brown. Janice Rogers Brown was a Supreme Court justice on the California Supreme Court. George W. Bush nominated Janice Rogers Brown to the D.C. Circuit. At the beginning of his presidency, he nominated Judge Brown to the D.C. Circuit. The Democrats filibustered Judge Brown. That filibuster was led by a guy named Joe Biden. It also included people like Chuck Schumer. It included Pat Leahy, included Dianne Feinstein. The reason they filibustered Judge Janice Rogers Brown is because she was a black woman, but she was also conservative, and they did not want her to go to the Supreme Court. And they succeeded in filibustering her. They delayed her nomination for a couple of years until it finally went through. She finally went to the D.C. Circuit. Now, everyone who was harumphing in the media that if you oppose an African-American woman who's a qualified judge, you're a racist, precisely 0 of them thought it was racist for Democrats, including Joe Biden, to filibuster Janice Rogers Brown.
How dare you not be outraged by your fellow Democrats for being disrespectful to Justice Amy Coney Barrett? Where's the outrage? Oh yeah, it doesn't fit the left's narrative. The so-called party of tolerance is not so tolerant after all. What a complete and utter hypocrite. How can you sit there and question Ted Cruz and the other members of the Republican Senate respectability, and then not say a word when your own party does the exact same thing?
Lost in this hypocritical rush is the legacy of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Let me close by remembering her for a minute in this unseemly charade.
This is a charade when they say this is a normal Judiciary Committee hearing.
Rushing a judge through this sham process.
They are confident that victory at the Supreme Court is now within their grasp if the Senate confirms Judge Barrett through this hypocritical, illegitimate process.
Yes, Judge, I think this hearing is a sham.
Joe Biden, the man who supposedly got more black votes than Obama. Mr. I'm all for the black community.
They're going to put you all back in chains. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Funny how they have a problem when we question a black person on the left like they do to a black person on the right. When the right does it, we're racist, but when the left does it, it's perfectly fine. There's nothing racist about it. But you ain't black if you don't vote for Joe Biden? Come on, man. Really? The left just loves to play that race card, don't they? What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments. That's it for today. To help support the channel, please comment, like, share, subscribe, and be sure to check this one out next.